Fishing adventures in the Mekong Delta. Hi there, language explorers. Welcome to Story-Driven English, where we journey through fascinating cultures while boosting your English skills. Today, we're diving deep into the muddy waters of Vietnam's Mekong Delta to experience an ancient fishing tradition that has fed generations and created unforgettable memories. Have you ever caught a fish with your bare hands? How about wading through mud so thick it feels like quicksand? Stick around because this story will transport you to lush waterways where ordinary people perform extraordinary feats to put food on their tables. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now for weekly cultural adventures that will supercharge your English vocabulary. Now, let's embark on our muddy, fishy adventure in Vietnam's beautiful south. Muddy waters, golden hearts. Fishing adventures in the Mekong Delta. Morning breaks softly over the Mekong Delta. The first rays of sunlight dance through coconut palms, creating shimmering patterns on the countless waterways that crisscross this fertile region. In the small village of Tan Phu, nestled between banana groves and rice fields, 12-year-old Minh wakes up with excitement bubbling inside him. Today is a special day, the day his family will drain their pond to catch fish. Minh, wake up. The neighbors will be here soon. His mother calls from the kitchen, where she's already preparing breakfast. Minh jumps out of his bamboo bed, quickly splashing water on his face from the ceramic basin. He can hardly contain his excitement. Twice a year, his family performs this ritual of Meng, draining the pond to catch fish, and it's always an adventure filled with surprises, laughter, and sometimes unexpected challenges. Outside, the December air feels pleasantly cool. In this southern region of Vietnam, there is no snow or bitter cold like in the north. Just a gentle breeze that offers relief from the usual tropical heat. Minh's father, Mr. Tuan, is already at the pond's edge, examining the water level and the small mud dam they built the previous evening. Morning sun. His father greets him with a warm smile. Ready for a muddy day? Minh nods enthusiastically. Will we catch many fish today, Dad? The pond has been stocked for 6 months now. I've seen some big catfish lurking under those water hyacinths. And your uncle spotted a snakehead fish as long as your arm last week. His father stretches out his arms to demonstrate the size, and Minh's eyes widen with wonder. Soon, neighbors begin arriving. Uncle Ben brings his 2 sons, cousins that Minh loves playing with. They carry long-handled scoops made from hollowed gourds attached to bamboo poles, traditional tools for draining water. Other villagers bring plastic buckets, baskets woven from split bamboo, and modern water pumps that have become increasingly common in recent years. Grandmother Mai, now in her 80s, but still sprightly, settles under a mango tree to supervise the proceedings. In her youth, she was known throughout the village for her skill at catching slippery eels with her bare hands. Though she no longer joins in the muddy activity, her advice is still treasured by everyone. Remember, the eels hide in the deepest mud. And watch out for those walking catfish. They're clever and will try to escape across the dam. She calls out, her voice surprisingly strong for her age. The children giggle at the thought of fish trying to make a great escape. Mr. Tuan claps his hands to get everyone's attention. Thank you all for coming today. As tradition goes, whatever we catch will be shared equally. Mrs. Lan has prepared refreshments for everyone under the pavilion. Now, let's begin. With that signal, Uncle Bin starts the small gas-powered pump. It sputters to life with a cloud of blue smoke, and soon water begins flowing out of the pond through a flexible hose, emptying into the nearby canal. Meanwhile, the younger men and children form a line, using their traditional scoops to accelerate the process, flinging water in high arcs that catch the morning sunlight, creating dozens of tiny rainbows. Minh joins his cousins, taking turns with the heavy bamboo scoop. The work is hard, but the shared activity and anticipation of what treasures might lie beneath the muddy water make it feel more like play than labor. The adults share stories and jokes as they work, creating a festive atmosphere. Did you hear about old Mr. Dow last week? Uncle Ben asks between scoops. He was draining his pond when he found an old motorbike buried in the mud. Must have been there for 20 years. How did a motorbike end up in a fish pond? Someone asks. That's the mystery. Mr. Dow doesn't remember losing one, and neither do any of his neighbors. The group erupts in laughter, theories flying about forgotten crimes. And midnight escapes. As the water level drops, the first signs of panic appear among the pond's inhabitants. Small silver fish dart frantically in the shrinking pools. A few particularly athletic fish attempt to leap over the earthen dam, with most falling short and plopping back into the increasingly crowded water. Look there, Minh shouts, pointing at a large shadow moving through the shallow water. It's a snakehead fish, nearly the size his father described, its dark body undulating as it searches for deeper water. With the water level now just ankle deep, Mr. Tuan gives the signal to change tactics. All right, everyone. Water scoops down, fish catchers ready. The children squeal with excitement as they kick off their sandals and roll up their pants. Min's mother hands out woven baskets to collect the smaller fish and plastic buckets for the larger catches. Min steps gingerly into the pond, the soft mud squishing between his toes. It's a strange but pleasant sensation, like walking on a muddy cloud. All around him, people are bent over, hands plunging into the water and mud, occasionally shouting with triumph when they grasp a wriggling fish. I got one. I got one. Min's younger cousin Lin cries out, struggling to hold onto a slippery catfish that's nearly as long as her arm. Uncle Ben rushes over to help her secure the impressive catch in a bucket. The mud is now up to Min's knees in some spots as he carefully shuffles forward, scanning for movement. Suddenly, he feels something brush against his leg, something big. Without hesitation, he plunges both hands into the mud, fingers searching blindly. His hands close around a smooth, muscular body that he immediately begins thrashing. Dad? Help! Minh calls, struggling to maintain his grip as the powerful fish threatens to escape. Mr. Tuan is by his side in an instant, adding his strong hands to the effort. Together, they lift the magnificent snakehead fish from the mud, its olive green body glistening and mouth opening and closing indignantly. What a beauty! Mr. Tuan exclaims proudly. That's at least 3 kilos. Well done, son. Minh beams with pride as neighbors gather around to admire his catch, the biggest of the day so far. Grandmother Mai nods approvingly from her shady spot. The harvest continues for hours as the pond yields its bounty. Catfish, tilapia, snakehead fish, eels, freshwater, shrimp, even some small turtles that are carefully set aside to be released in the canal. By midday, the collection of buckets and baskets is impressive enough fish to feed several families for days. As the excitement of the catch winds down, a new kind of activity begins. Under the large pavilion near the house, the women of the village have set up an outdoor cooking area. Fresh herbs from the garden, fragrant cilantro, mint, and Vietnamese coriander are being washed and chopped. Pots of water begin to boil over open fires, and the distinctive aroma of fish sauce and lemongrass fills the air. Minh's mother calls him over. Wash yourself quickly at the well, then help me prepare these small fish for the soup after rinsing. Off the worst of the mud, Minh sits cross-legged next to his mother, watching carefully as she demonstrates how to clean the small silver fish. Not too much water, she instructs. You want to keep the flavor. These little ones are perfect for Cancua sour soup. The big catfish will save for Coty caramelized fish in clay pot. Minh follows her example, his small fingers becoming surprisingly deft at the task. There's something deeply satisfying about preparing food that you've caught yourself, he thinks. Each fish represents not just food, but a moment of triumph, a small victory over the elusive creatures of the pond. Meanwhile, Mr. Tuan and Uncle Ben are preparing a special treat, mud-grilled fish. They take some of the larger catches, clean them, and stuff the bellies with lemongrass, garlic, and green onions. Then, without scaling the fish, they coat them completely in thick mud from the pond. The mud seals in all the flavor. Uncle Ben explains to the wide-eyed children watching the process. And when we crack it open after cooking, the scales come off with the dried mud. Very clever, very traditional. These mud-packed fish are buried in hot coals from the cooking fire, where they'll bake slowly for nearly an hour. As the cooking progresses, Grandmother Mai gathers the younger children around her under the mango tree. While we wait for the feast, she says with a twinkle in her eye, let me tell you about the time your grandfather caught a fish so big it pulled him across the pond. The children settle in eagerly for one of her famous storytelling sessions, half believing and half doubting her tales of gigantic fish and heroic catches from the old days. When I was a young woman, she begins, her voice dropping to a dramatic whisper that makes the children lean in closer. The fish in these waters grew to the size of small children. There was one particular catfish that the village called the General. Because it had survived so many fishing attempts that it seemed to understand human strategies, Minh listens, entranced, as his grandmother weaves a tale that mixes reality and fantasy so seamlessly that it's impossible to tell where truth ends and embellishment begins. Her stories connect him to a past. He never knew a time before electricity reached the village, before motorbikes replaced buffalo carts, when the rhythm of life was dictated entirely by the seasons and the water.by late afternoon. The feast is ready. Everyone gathers around low tables set up under the pavilion and surrounding trees. The bounty of the pond has been transformed into an impressive variety of dishes. Spicy and sour fish soup with pineapple and tomatoes, crispy fried fish with garlic, steamed fish with ginger and scallions, and the piece de resistance, the mud-baked fish, now dramatically cracked open to reveal perfectly cooked, aromatic flesh that slides easily off the bone.mr. Tuan stands to offer a few words before the meal begins. Today, we continue a tradition as old as our village. Our ancestors settled here because of the abundance of these waters. Though times change and many young people now seek their fortunes in the big cities, days like today remind us of who we are and where we come from. We give thanks for the harvest of the pond and for good neighbors to share it with. A chorus of approval greets his words, and then everyone digs in. Bowls of steaming rice are passed around, along with plates piled high with fish prepared in various ways. The children are served first, a Vietnamese custom showing that their well-being and future are the priority of the community. Minh takes a bite of the mud-baked fish his father and uncle prepared, and his eyes widen with delight. The flavor is unlike anything from a store or market, somehow more vibrant, more real. Perhaps it's because he knows exactly where it came from, or perhaps it's the special alchemy of fresh ingredients and traditional cooking methods. As the feast continues, conversation flows as freely as the rice wine among the adults. Stories are told, some familiar, repeated each year at gatherings like this, others new experiences from the past year that will now become part of the village's collective memory. Uncle Ben recounts the time he was night fishing and thought he saw a ghost on the water. It turned out to be a neighbor who had fallen asleep in his boat. Mrs. Land describes her journey to Ho Chi Minh City to visit her son, marveling at the tall buildings and endless streams of motorbikes. Mr. Tuan shares news about government plans to build a new bridge that will connect their village more directly to the district center, potentially changing travel patterns that have existed for generations. Through it all, Grandmother Mai listens more than she speaks, her weathered face reflecting both the changes she has witnessed in her long life and the enduring elements of village culture that have remained constant after the meal. While the adults linger over tea and conversation, the children are drawn back to the now empty pond. The mud has thickened in the afternoon sun, becoming a perfect playground. What begins as innocent exploration quickly evolves into an impromptu mud fight, with shrieks of laughter erupting as globs of mud fly through the air. Minh and his cousins are soon unrecognizable, covered from head to toe in the rich, dark soil of the pond bottom. Their mothers call out half-hearted warnings about ruined clothes, but no one really minds. Clothes can be washed, but childhood memories like these are precious beyond measure. As the sun begins its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, Mr. Tuan calls for attention once more before everyone heads home. We should prepare the pond for its next cycle, he announces. This is the part that Minh has been waiting for. From a large bucket, Mr. Tuan produces dozens of tiny fish fry fingerlings no longer than Minh's pinky finger. There are future catfish, tilapia, and even some expensive koi that a cousin sent from the city as a gift. Minh, would you like to do the honors? His father asks, offering him the bucket. With careful steps, Minh approaches the small stream of water now being directed back into the pond from the canal. One by one, he releases the tiny fish into their new home, where they will grow for the next 6 months until the cycle repeats. Growing fish is like growing hope, Grandfather Mai says, softly, suddenly appearing at his side. You put something small into the water, not knowing exactly what will come of it. You feed it, you protect it as best you can, but ultimately you must trust in nature and time. Minh nods, understanding that she's talking about more than just fish. As twilight deepens, neighbors begin to gather their belongings and head home, each carrying a portion of the day's catch. Goodbyes are called out, along with promises to help when it's time to harvest someone else's pond next week or next month. Later that evening, after washing away the mud and changing into clean clothes, Minh sits with his family on the porch of their simple house. His father plays a traditional song on a battered guitar. His mother mends a fishing net by the light of a small lamp, and Grandmother Mai dozes in her favorite chair, occasionally opening an eye to add a comment to the conversation. Did you enjoy today? Mr. Tuan asks his son during a pause in his playing. It was the best day, Minh replies honestly. But Dad, when I go to college in the city someday, will I forget how to catch fish with my hands? Will I still know how to live like this? His father sets the guitar aside and looks thoughtfully into the darkness where fireflies have begun their nightly dance above the water. The knowledge will always be in your hands, even if they become more used to holding books and computers. Then fish, he says finally, and the memory will always be in your heart. That's what matters. Minh nods, satisfied with this answer. He doesn't yet know what his future holds, whether he'll remain in the village like his father or seek opportunities in the bustling cities that seem to grow larger and more alluring each year. But he knows that days like today, with mud between his toes and the triumph of catching a giant fish with his bare hands, have shaped who he is in ways that can never be erased. As he drifts towards sleep that night, Minh's dreams are filled with flashes of silver beneath muddy waters and the sound of his village laughing together under a bright Mekong Delta sun. In 6 months, they will drain the pond again, and the cycle of life in this water-bound community will continue, as it has for countless generations before. And that's our story from the beautiful waterways of Vietnam's Mekong Delta. Did you Enjoy this glimpse into traditional fishing methods that are still practiced today? If you did, please hit that like button and share this video with friends who appreciate cultural stories and language learning. Remember, the best way to improve your English is through engaging stories that transport you to different worlds, while teaching you vocabulary and context. If you want more stories like this one, exploring fascinating traditions from around the world, make sure to subscribe to Story Driven English and hit that notification bell. Drop a comment below telling us which cultural tradition from your country you'd like us to explore in a future video. And if you learned some new English words today, let us know which ones. Until our next linguistic adventure, keep reading, keep listening, and keep growing your English skills one story at a time. Key vocabulary repeated throughout. Mekong Delta, a region in southern Vietnam, known for its network of waterways and agricultural land drain to remove water from something pond, a small body of still water muddy full of or covered with mud scoop. A tool for lifting and moving material. The action of lifting something in a scoop bamboo, a tall, tree-like grass used for building and making tools in Asia. Catfish, a type of fish with whisker, like barbels around its mouth. Snakehead fish. A predatory freshwater fish common in Southeast Asia, a snake-like fish. Harvest, the process of gathering crops. To gather crops, traditional following or belonging to the customs of a particular societiscal, the ability to do something well. Feast, a large or elaborate meal. Ingredient, an item, used to make food. Community, a group of people living in the same class. Generation, all people born and living at about the same time. Cycle, a series of events that regularly repeat in the same order. Fingerling, a young or small fish. Abundance, a large quantity of something. Memory, something remembered from the past.